What do you guys want to talk about?
Let me talk to you.
Yeah!
Throwdown Nation, we are live. It is a Friday. We are rolling on Instagram, YouTube, Twitter/X, Facebook, and Twitch. It is episode 197 of the Throwdown, where we celebrate the art and sport of professional wrestling with a strong focus on the indies. I'm your host, Matt, and today we are throwing down with a Florida-based wrestler and also the head coach at the House of Champions in Orlando. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the Hawaiian Warrior, Kekoa. How you doing tonight, sir?
I'm doing well, my man. I appreciate you having me on. I really do.
Man, like I said before we went on the air, I've been looking forward to this one. And for those of you watching us live, let me direct your attention to the ticker that's running on the bottom of the screen. That contains all, or at least most, of Kekoa's social media accounts, along with the accounts for the House of Champions and also my accounts. So do us a favor, if you aren't a follower or subscriber, take the time and go to each of the platforms and do so. It definitely helps all of us. So we'll go ahead and start with the first and kind of the most obvious question, and that is, how long have you yourself actually been wrestling?
This fall, it will be officially 20 years that I've been in the pro wrestling business.
Nice, nice. So who actually trained you?
I trained at a school. It does not exist anymore. It really only had like a year or two stint, and then the owner closed it down. But it used to be called Lehigh Valley Pro Wrestling Training Academy. It was in Allentown, Pennsylvania. My trainers were Mike Mongoose, Bill Daly, and Buzz Bentley. Some throwback names for me.
Absolutely. So, in the early stages of your wrestling training, what would you say surprised you the most?
I'm not too sure. I think if anything, what surprised me the most is just reassurance that this is probably what I should be doing, because I had that feeling my entire life that I wanted to be a wrestler. And then the more that I got around other people that would do like backyard wrestling, and of course, like backyard wrestling and pro wrestling, two completely different worlds. But even, doing those types of things and hanging around and messing around with my friends, I like just naturally took to wrestling. Again, I still was doing things not properly, but I could still do them.
Right.
And yeah, again, just natural. What wrestling became natural to me. And then when I got into my actual pro wrestling training, I thought I was picking it up pretty quickly. So then again, that was kind of reassurance of like, okay, like, yeah, I definitely, was meant to do this. And I've told my kids this story before about how I'll never forget, like, the first time that I ever even cut a promo. I was a very quiet kid. I was a nerd in high school. I wasn't really popular by any means. So I was kind of to myself, and especially when I was getting trained in 2006, it was very much a, keep your mouth shut and your ears open, kid. Don't talk back. Don't even open your mouth type of thing. So
yeah,
I didn't say anything.
Very old school.
Yeah, so I didn't talk a lot. And then I still remember the first time that Bill, who was my head trainer, when Bill had me cut my first promo, I don't remember what I said. I don't remember what I talked about. I don't remember anything about that promo, but I remember like finishing my promo and going like, "Oh, I hope I didn't suck." And he goes, "Where the hell has that been?" And I'm like, "What do you mean?" And he's like, "You don't say a word ever." He's like, where were you hiding this personality of a promo? And I'm like, "You told me to shut up." Like, you told me not to talk. Like, so I don't talk. So then again, that was just another reassurance thing of like, okay, I was like, wrestling, I'm picking up pretty quickly. Promo, all right, I'm not terrible at a promo, so all right, I guess this is what I should have been doing all along. So I think that was the most surprising thing, is just reassurance that it was the right decision.
Gotcha. So, when you came to professional wrestling, Did you come to it with any kind of another athletic or martial arts background? Had you done other sports, other martial arts, anything like that?
Yeah, I'd never done martial arts or anything of that sort. No, or anything like that. I played basketball and baseball pretty much my whole life. I played football with my friends, volleyball. Um, not semi-competitively. Like I never played for the school, but I was, pretty good at it. I was always an athletic kid. I just, I was a nerd. I was a nerd that had some athleticism. We'll put it that way. So I did a lot of like, I still remember like the diving team wanted me to come on because I took a lifeguarding class in high school for credits, and then when we had free time at the end of the day, like I could go off the diving board. So then I was just doing a bunch of stuff off the diving board, and then they wanted me to come on their team, and I'm like, no, absolutely not. I don't want to be a diver. So I always had athleticism in other aspects, just never focused on, and I never did amateur wrestling either. So I just jumped right into it.
Gotcha. So I mean, obviously the physical side of this is extremely important. So tell us a bit about your gym routine, and in your mind, what do you think is the most crucial exercise or group of exercises toward keeping you in ring shape?
For me and my gym routine, I hit the gym on average about 4 times a week, sometimes 5, sometimes 3. So that's why I would land on that middle about 4. I just focus on lightweight, high reps because, I don't want to break down my body more than what it's already doing. Like we already get beat up in the ring. So the more that I'm trying to lift heavy, like I want to prevent injury. I don't want to, wear and tear, joints and everything of that sort. Again, even with proper form, I just know that it has, wear and tear over your body over time. So I avoid all of that. And then as far as like what I recommend to stay in tip top shape when it comes to wrestling, I'm sure you've heard it a gazillion times on this podcast from other wrestlers. There's no shape like in-ring shape. I don't do any cardio at the gym. I don't do any cardio in my personal time. I just train. That's literally all I do. I just stay in the ring. I do warm-ups that I tell these kids our warm-ups are like torture drills that other schools do. Like, oh, we're really going to blow ourselves up today. We're going to do this drill. I'm like, this is our warm-up every single day, because I want to obviously make sure that that's something completely in our control, and making sure that, we're never going to get blown up out there. So yeah, just in ring, baby.
Right. A number of years ago, for several years, I actually trained in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And, I've never done professional wrestling training, but doing that, I've got to say, I have never found a better full body workout than grappling 5-minute rounds with people. I mean, just the physicality of it, and you're literally working every part of your body grappling. So I completely get what you mean about that alone is going to work your cardio.
I agree.
So obviously, like I said at the beginning, you're the head coach at the House of Champions. I've had Renee and Jamie on recently, and I want to kind of get your perspective on it. How did the opportunity with House of Champions come about for you?
So I met Nick, or Jamie Stanley, excuse me. I met him through...
It's all the same.
It's all the same. A lot more people only know him as Jamie Stanley, which again, it's the wrestling business. So I can understand that. But yeah, I met Nick through extra work for WWE during the pandemic. And long story short, I had told him like, yeah, I'm thinking about moving down here, and he had given me some words of encouragement to like make it happen, because him and his family just had moved down from Michigan, and I was really leaning on it, just because I wanted to surround myself with, the best wrestlers in the world, and obviously the majority of the WWE roster at some point had moved to Florida because they had to go through the NXT, developmental territory. Um, so then during the pandemic, I got to train with, a who's who of the roster, and that's what really pushed me to move down here. So then once I moved, him and I just linked up, because he was one of the few people that I knew in Florida. And then long story short, at one point he had mentioned that he and his wife were thinking about opening up a gym. And I was like, oh, cool. And he was like, yeah. And then we want to put a wrestling ring in it. And he starts asking me a lot of questions because I owned a wrestling ring at that time. I had my own like rental business in the Northeast before we had moved down here. I had a ring, I had production equipment, I had cameras, I had audio equipment, I had literally anything and everything a company would need to put on a great product. And that way they could just rent everything from me, and they only had one person rather than 10 people that they have to reach out to every show. But regardless, when he told me that, I said, hey, right now my ring primarily sits in my trailer because I got to rebuild, my brand down here. I got to rebuild and make connections to these wrestling companies in order to reach out to me, and so on and so forth. So I'm like, if you end up getting a gym, by all means, instead of you guys buying one, I'm like, just use mine, because Nick and Renee they've done so much for me and my family, before we moved down, and then even after. So it was the best that I could do to say, like, hey, I appreciate you guys, so much. And then also, selfishly thinking like, okay, well then I'll have a spot to train at least.
Yeah.
So I thought that's what was going to happen. And then at one point, they start telling me like, yeah, we're starting to look at buildings, and I'm like, oh crap, like, so this is legit. And then one thing after another, they tell me like, oh, this is going to be a wrestling school. And I was like, oh, I thought you guys were opening up a gym. And they're like, no, it's going to be a wrestling school. And I went, oh, okay. And then they start telling me how they want to have a cold plunge, and they want to have a sauna, and they want to have a full gym in it. And I'm like, well, dear Lord, like, there's no schools that exist like that, unless it's the PC. So I'm like, yeah, like, it sounds like you guys are going to do phenomenal. And then since, I had my own school in the Northeast, Nick had invited me over for dinner one night. And while I think he was grilling, and he just starts, asking me questions. Like, how did you do this? How did you do that? Like, anything about my school, just to like kind of know the ins and outs of like how I ran my school specifically. And, I left that night kind of going like, I wonder if that was an interview, because it kind of felt like it. Like, you were asking a lot of, very intense questions, and not like, oh, I just am learning about what you did up there. Which then Renee has since confirmed, like, yes, that was an interview. So yeah, then, soon after, they had told me, that they were thinking about moving forward with someone else for the head coaching position, which again, like, I didn't even know that they were thinking of me or considering me or anything like that. Like, at this point, we had no conversations of that. Again, I just wanted to offer them my ring so that, I could say thank you for what they've done for me and my family. But then at one point, they invited me over for dinner again. And they said, no, we're going to move forward with you, because they had told me they were going to move forward with somebody else. And then they offered me the position, and I was like, oh, wow. Which of course is a huge, compliment, to me, and, from them, especially because they're dumping all of this money, like hard-earned life savings type of money, into a business. And they're like, no, you're the guy. And especially when it comes to wrestling schools and wrestling in general, we all know that everything comes from your name. Like, if you don't have a name in this business, 9 times out of 10, like, it might not be as successful, or you might not be successful when you're trying to run your own school. Because if AJ Styles, since he just retired, if he opens up a school in Atlanta, Georgia, like, people are going to flock. You know what I mean? I granted, the Nightmare Factory is around that area, but again, I'm just making the example. But,
Yeah.
a guy that has no major accolades that the wrestling world would know, like, and they're putting their trust in me to be the head coach. I'm like, I don't know, like, I hope I don't screw this up, You know what I mean? Like, that's a lot of pressure. So I've just devoted all of my time and effort and energy into making sure that I didn't let that happen. And that's how House of Champions became what we are. And we started from, I think it was like 7 or 8 signups when we first started. And I think we're currently about 64 members, adult members, and
Wow.
then another 40 something kid members. So we're at over 100 something members at this point, like the total number. So
That's
we
great.
didn't let that happen.
Nope. So, looking over at the Instagram chat, we've got a few people that have circulated in. We've got Dolphin King 219, SB Gorilla, El Pringle, and Savvy Chris. El Pringle, actually, we're working on getting him on the show. He is a product of Black and Brave Wrestling Academy, Seth Rollins' school in Davenport, Iowa. Yep.
Sorry.
Iowa, yeah. And over on Twitch, we've got UK Paul, and he actually posed a question for you that I'm going to throw up on the screen here. And that is, do you have a wrestler on the current indie scene that you would love to face that you haven't already?
I guess that's a tough question to answer because I feel like I have a lot of friends that we've just never crossed paths inside a ring. So that's, kind of one thing. That to me is the thing that I look at more as far as like, man, I just want to create more memories for myself with my friends rather than like look at, let's say, some of the guys that are on the ID program, like technically they're still on the independents. They have these ID contracts, but they're still wrestling on the independents. So it's no insult to them by any means, or it's not an insult to guys that are up and coming wrestlers by any means that make me go, man, like I would really love to have a great match with him. I've just been very blessed to have great matches throughout my entire career. So that, I guess, like that itch to have a great match with someone that I don't know is overpowered by that itch to have a great match with somebody that I'm close with, if that makes sense. But then if you were to ask me, like, would I rather have an independent match against, one of my close friends or somebody on the WWE roster? It's like, oh, no, that's the challenge. Like, I don't have, I've filled that void of knowing I can, of what my, I want to make sure I word this correctly. I've filled that void of knowing what my capabilities are. So I would want to look further past and go like, I need to know. It's kind of like the only way I can kind of say it is like when, again, I know it's obviously a storyline and it's a promo, but when Shawn Michaels faced Hulk Hogan and he said, I got to know, I just have to know. That would be the same instance if I were to face a Dolph Ziggler, a Randy Orton, a Cody Rhodes, a Seth Rollins, a Gunther,
right.
Like these types of, top tier talent. That would be the thing that I would want to lean on more.
Gotcha. So, I've talked to other trainers and coaches at various schools during my time doing this, and some say that they can tell in the first 5 minutes or so if a new student is going to stick around. Do you have that gift? And if so, what are the tells? What does a new student exude to you to where they're gonna hang in?
I do have that gift, unfortunately. I don't think it's a good one. But I always say, because we have a lot of members that come through the House of Champions. We had a lot of people come and go because of those types of people that think that this is what they want to do, and then they find out how tough it is and they go, I don't know if this is really what I wanted to do. And then there they go. So when we have like these team meetings every single week between me, Nick, Renee, and the other coaches, and we go over members and just talk about like, hey, is there anything that we need to communicate? Because we're always on the same page with everybody, and just knowing what's going on with everybody, so that if one of our students goes up to, Renee, she's already kind of filled in on like what's been going on with this student, or Nick, and vice versa. So we have these conversations a lot, and I always say, man, like, I hope I'm wrong. Because I have people that come through and I'm like, I just don't see them sticking around more than 2 months. I hope I'm wrong, because like, I don't want to be right. Like, I want to see everyone succeed. I want everyone to just, flourish, coming out of House of Champions, but it's not always going to happen. But to answer your question of like, what stands out as far as someone that's going to stick around, it's somebody that's, that has a hunger to be a student of the game. That's the thing that's going to prove if they're going to stick around or not. Because you have people that come in and you can tell because our students have unlimited ring time at our school. We have normal operating hours at our school. That means if on Wednesday, when we're open from 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. and we don't have practice until 6 o'clock, if they come in and they want to work on whatever it is that they're stuck on or currently learning from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., they have that capability. And I've never seen anybody obviously work that long. But the point that I'm trying to make is I see a lot of students come in, they get the crash pad out, and they immediately are jumping off the top rope, or they're trying moves, and they're nowhere near moves yet. They're nowhere even near, like finishing all of their bumps and learning that aspect. But they care about that thing, and they're having fun, and that's fine too, right? Like they can of course like go in there and have fun, but there has to be, at some point, you put the crash pad away and you work on the thing that you're currently doing, so that you can get to that fun stuff, so that you can feel more like a wrestler. But I see students every single day come in and they just play on that crash pad, 5 days a week, and I'm like, how about you work on the thing that you can't get done yet, rather than trying to do this swanton bomb that you know what I mean, off the top rope. So it's stuff like that. Or like when I see them jotting down notes when I'm talking about psychology, or they come up with a deeper leveled question of something, like those are the types of things that stand out for somebody that I know is going to do well in the business and our school.
Gotcha. So away from wrestling, what are some of your other hobbies and interests?
Just being a dad. That's the biggest thing. Everything is centered around the family once I clock out. How
many kids do you have?
I got 2 little girls. I'm very much a girl dad. I got a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old. So my hobbies and interests and things that I want to do are at the bottom tier, because I want to spend time with my girls. They're only little ones. And I don't want to say like, well, I don't get to have fun. Like, no, my fun is having fun with my girls. Like, that's my hobby. So when I get to come home and I have an off day, it's right to Disney and going on rides. It's taking them out to lunch and just having a sit down meal with them, when I get the chance to. Like tomorrow I plan on taking each of my daughters out for something, just me and her. Like if I take my 3-year-old out for lunch, and then I'm gonna take my 5-year-old bowling or something like that. I don't know what I'm gonna do yet, but like that's me and my girls' time. And then if my wife and I get to go out and have a nice dinner, then that's under the girls. And then it's me if all the girls are in the house and they're asleep and I get to have me time. I'm usually just doom scrolling on TikTok just to kind of like decompress from the day, or I play some video games. That's pretty much it. I don't really have hobbies. It's just spending time with everybody, because we only get to live once.
Absolutely. And I can say, as the father of a 16-and-a-half-year-old, with you having a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old, don't blink. Cause,
I know, man.
I mean, it's crazy how fast they grow. And I mean, it's it's great. Yeah, it's fun. It's been fun seeing Zach grow and turn into the young man he is now. But at the same time, it's just like, where did it all go? I mean, yeah,
I mean, I think about that with wrestling. Like I can't fathom what 20 years means. Like I don't know what that means. Like I don't know. You know what I mean? Like it's just not something. It's kind of like, I don't have $1 million in my bank account. I can't even fathom what it's like to have $1 million. You know what I mean? Like I'm just trying to get to, making sure that we're all comfortable, and comfortable is just making sure that, when bills come in or something needs to get fixed in the house, that we don't just think about it. We just like, okay, we got to go do it. You know what I mean? Like, um, that's thinking about $1 million is like unimaginable. Thinking about 20 years is unimaginable. So like, yeah, I completely get it. It's not something that my brain can wrap around.
yep. Chris Page from CCP Podcasting just hopped on to the
Ah,
Instagram chat and he says hello. So,
what's Mr. CCP himself?
yep, good guy, good guy. So you're currently based in Orlando. What is your actual hometown? Where are you actually from?
Cool. So, my ethnicity, because this is where everyone kind of goes like, oh, so you're not really Hawaiian? No, 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 no. So I was born and raised in Pennsylvania. My family, my
Okay,
my whole dad's side of the family is from Hawaii. We actually moved to Hawaii at one point, but then we moved back to the East Coast. But my hometown, man, if we really, really want to dig into the hometown, because I usually just say I'm from the Lehigh Valley, Allentown, Bethlehem area for most people because they don't know my little hometown. But I grew up in Danielsville, Pennsylvania. Nobody knows that town other than people that were from that town. I went to
gotcha,
Northampton High School. I bleed black and orange. That's not the main reason why I've always worn black and orange, but it's definitely a factor of it. But yeah, I'm from a very, very, very little town.
gotcha. So, what is your favorite thing about Orlando, and what was your favorite thing about Pennsylvania?
Um, my favorite thing about Orlando is just the weather. Um, Florida summers get pretty brutal around here, which, but I'm genetically made for hot, so, it
Yeah,
gets to me sometimes, but, it is what it is. But yeah, when I moved from Pennsylvania to Florida, and we moved in the beginning of December of 2020, and I still remember this, the first time that I walked outside at like 7 a.m. in my new apartment, and I was walking my dog, and it was already like 75 degrees. It was just this rush of happiness, dopamine, or whatever the terminology is, that just rushed to my brain of like, oh my god, like this is it, like this is the new life. Like I don't have to shovel anymore. I don't have to have winter depression anymore. I don't have to hide in my house for 6 months out of the year because it's cold and disgusting outside and dreary. Like I get to just be in sunshine all year round. So that was to me just the best thing about Florida. It just kind of really made me aware of just how much winter depression I had. I never said that I thought I had it until I skipped winter, and then I went, oh yeah, like that really sucked up there. Um, but my favorite thing about Pennsylvania, other than just, again, like it still feels like home. You know what I mean? It's just a familiarity. I know all these back roads. I know how to get from one town to the other without pulling up a GPS, you know, and just being able to just go, and in country roads, being able to throw my high beams on and just, be in complete darkness at night and having a night drive. Like those things were always fun. But just being able to get to so many different places from my town, you know what I mean? It was an hour and a half drive to New York City. It was a 2 hour drive to the beach. It was a 3 hour drive to Southern Jersey. There was Six Flags in Central Jersey. You could go to Philly, you could go to Delaware, you can go to Maryland, like just so many different places that you can get to from Pennsylvania. So I think I just
hmm
really liked that. Florida is just a massive state to get out of, and then Georgia's another big state to get out of. So it's a little bit harder to travel down here.
Gotcha, gotcha. Yeah, it's funny talking about navigating. Years ago, for several years, I actually worked as a paramedic, and so and at the time we just had these map books, and so I learned to navigate by street names and cross streets,
Yeah.
and my wife navigates by landmarks, and it drives me crazy because a landmark can change. Generally the street names and the cross streets don't. And so she'll be like, turn at the Burger King, and I'm like, how do I know that that's always going to be a Burger King? I don't, So so yeah, it's just so I know what you mean about knowing the lay of the land is just really cool.
Yeah.
So do you and this may be something that it's that you really don't have a real preference about. It may just be situational depending on what the promotion or the match calls for. But do you have a preference yourself between working heel or baby?
So I primarily have worked babyface my entire career. I had a small little heel run in 2015 after I tore my ACL, and I came back as a completely different character. And I enjoyed that character that I played. But unfortunately, I was such a strong babyface that the promotions that I had worked for years, when I came back as heel, they were just like, yeah, but you're just such a good baby face. Like, we really need you to stay baby, even after like they had already turned me and everything like that. And I'm like, well, what do I do now? And especially I had all of this gear and like a big mask made, all of these things that I put so much money into to be this heel character. So then I had to figure out how to repackage myself as a baby face. But right now, I am not heel anywhere. I did play a heel character for our school all of 2024 when we first started doing student shows, and that I miss very, very, very much. I think it's just because, again, like I haven't really gotten to be heel my entire career. So then when I finally got to be this other person, I'm like, okay, I'm just having fun with this. And a lot of the kids are asking me to kind of go back to that character, which I was like, yeah, there's a time and place. It just has to make sense. And, we'll write it in at some point. But no, I'm still primarily babyface in the majority of the promotions that I work for. But there's that itch. There's that itch to be my former self again. So I'm waiting.
No doubt, no doubt. Looking over at the Instagram chat, your friend and mine, Gage Holloway, just popped in.
Ga'aj.
Yeah.
That's Ga'aj, as I call him.
Absolutely. So, with you having been doing this for 20 years, I'm sure at this point you've probably got plenty of them. But what is your biggest wrestling-related pet peeve?
Oh, I have a million of them. Don't get me started. I'll have to take another blood pressure medication. Oh my God, where do I start? I'll start with a couple things. At House of Champions, because I'm the head coach and I run the school. I run the classes. Number one, I say that a cuss word in the House of Champions is the word tweener and the term tweener. I fucking despise that word. I absolutely do. I despise it because it just doesn't make sense. I don't get it when someone's like, yeah, I'm a tweener. I'm like, no, you're either a babyface or a heel. And in the arguments of, well, when Stone Cold would flip his boss off and do this and that or whatever, blah, 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 he would do all of these heel things, but he was a babyface. Correct. You just said it. He was a babyface. Like, he got away with it. He got away with the things that he was doing, but he was a babyface. There is a little bit of a transitional period where all of a sudden you start to get over as something else. If you really want to use that term, I would pick another word. I would think you're in transition to be a babyface. You're not both thinking that you are a heel and a babyface. I don't agree with that. I just hate that term. To me, it doesn't make sense. So that's a cuss word in my school. Another cuss word is lucha libre. And the only reason that I say that, because people come to me and they're like, I want to learn some lucha things. I can teach you some lucha things. And no disrespect to the lucha libre art and that whole style of wrestling. It's just not my cup of tea. It's kind of like death matches. Death matches are not my cup of tea. And the other reason that I tell the kids that is because, again, lucha libre style, everything is taught the opposite way. Everything is taught opposite of what traditionally how we teach it in the States and everywhere else in the country, or excuse me, in the world. So that's the other part that I'm like, I'm not a fan. Like, why did they decide to teach it completely opposite than everybody else? So then when some kids go, yeah, man, I'd really love to learn the lucha libre style. Can you teach me? I'm like, go to Mexico. Like, go to somewhere that's their expertise, because like I'm not trained that way. Like, I'm not trained when I turn a certain way or I have to take a certain move. I'm trained to the opposite. Like, my brain isn't automated that way. So like I can show you some things, but I wouldn't be a great lucha libre teacher. So that's just another thing of my pet peeve of like, why is everything opposite? Which teach their own by all means, but that's just a couple. If I deep down this, it'll be a 5-part podcast if I keep going down the rabbit hole of what other pet peeves I have. It's all situational too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So, over the years that you've been doing this, I'm sure you've probably got a few stories, but what would you say has been your most unusual encounter with a fan?
Honestly, the only thing that stands out, luckily nothing crazy because no one obsesses over me, thankfully. But the only real time that I remember something even remotely close to something like that was, I remember I was young in the business. I was, maybe 19, 20 years old or something like that. So to then young teenagers, you know what I mean? I had a young teenager fan base at this
Right.
point of my career in certain towns. And I remember me, my girlfriend at the time, and my nephew, who I think was only like, 5 or 6 at the time. I can't remember how old he was, but he came with me to a show because I was his, biggest fan. Or he was my biggest fan. So we went to a hoagie shop while we were, because we got to the building early. So we went and got hoagies or whatever. I get in my car, and I noticed that there's these 3 teenagers like walking down the street, and they're coming like towards my car, and I went, oh, I know who they are. They're always at the shows. They're fans of mine. And I didn't say hi or anything like that. I'm like, I'll see them later. I don't want to interrupt them or anything like that. But as I start driving, one of them notices that it was me. So then they turn around and then they're like, it's Kekoa. And then they start chasing after my car for a hot second. And my nephew, I still remember, he turns around, he's like, Uncle, why are they chasing the car? And I'm like, I don't know. So that was really the only, that was as close as it ever got, was 3 girls. That was it. Three young teenagers that for whatever reason, because I was 19, 20 years old or something like that at the time. Kids.
Gotcha. So, using kind of a literary term here, in the wrestling business, there are always people that you have amazing in-ring or interpersonal chemistry with, and using the literary term, it's usually referred to as a foil. Do you have such a person that when you work with them, you're going to have a banger? Do you have somebody when you work with, just you can count on magic happening? Do you have such a person?
First off, I've never heard that term foil, so that's new. Learned something new today. Um, um, yeah, yes and no. So for instance, like when I was in the Northeast, and one of my long buddies, his name is Joey Martinez. Now he was Ricky Martinez, and he was Ricky Suave, and he was picture perfect Ricky Martinez, and he was all of these things. Him and I had, we were joined at the hip for basically our entire careers. And I think up to like 2 years ago, it was our first year that we finally didn't have a match at some point of the year. We had always at least wrestled each other once a year. And but I haven't seen him in years now since I moved down here. So I don't know. Not saying that he's lost a step by any means, but that's somebody that I always used to. But him and I haven't wrestled each other for a long time. But now being down here in Florida, man, it's all my kids, obviously, because I train all of them. So I've programmed them a certain way to know, all right, this is what I taught you. So it's been fun because now I have all of these kids that I'm like, man, I'll wrestle all of them because I know that they were trained correctly, in my opinion. But also my assistant coach, Stevie Boy, Mr. Bowen, before he became, my assistant coach, he was just coming to the school. Like he just wanted a spot to train at because, he's been doing it a hair longer than I have. He just celebrated his 20th wrestling anniversary about a week or two ago. He's had a hell of a career himself. And when we would be practicing with each other and training with each other, I'm like, man, this guy is smooth. I'm like, it was always fun every time that we would get to do a drill together or something of that sort. So now that, he's my assistant coach and, he's more involved in our storylines and with the shows and everything of that sort. I know at one point it's going to make sense for both of our characters to be in the ring with each other. And I will selfishly write it at some point to go, hey, kids, both your coaches are fighting each other, just so that they can get excited about it as well. So at some point, yeah, me and Bowen are going to lock up for real.
Nice. So, what is your favorite move? What is something you just really enjoy doing? And on the flip side of that, is there a move that you won't do or you would at least rather not do? And that can be giving or receiving.
Yeah. The reason I'm laughing is because you're like, what's your favorite move? And I go, the go home. Like, let's roll me up, brother. Yeah, that's my favorite. The end. No, what's my favorite move? Man, I always like my super kick. And the main reason that I'm still a favorite of my kick is because the business overall has watered down the super kick, kind of like how it's watered down the Canadian Destroyer and a Poison Rana and all of these like crazy freaking moves. Not that the super kick was a crazy move by any means, but at one point it was a finish. And that goes to be said with everything, and I'll sound like an old man, but I have made it a point to tell the kids, like, hey, we don't have to throw away things like that, and that's why still one of my finishes is a super kick, because I want people to go like, oh, well, when he does it, kind of like exactly how everybody said about Shawn Michaels. When Shawn does it, it's a finish. When everybody else does it, it's just another move for them. So that's just something that I'm trying to hold near and dear to my heart. And a move that I absolutely won't do. Again, it would be a 5-part episode if I told you all the moves that I don't want to do, because somebody will come up to me and be like, yeah, man, so my finish is the Flip-de Doodles backhammer side quest. And I'm like, nope. I'm going to tell you no right now. Nope. I don't even know what it is, but it shouldn't have that name. Nope. So.
Gotcha. Sort of going down that rabbit hole just a little bit, I am a huge Jake Roberts mark. And it has hurt my heart over the years to see the DDT get relegated to a mid-match move. Because when Jake Roberts would do a DDT, you would think he'd murdered a man. I mean, and I just, being, having Jake as somebody that I've always really gravitated toward. Like I said, it just kind of hurts my heart to see the DDT getting watered down.
So then you would be happy to know that, again, how I teach my kids, like if you take a move, anything that, if you make it your finish, again, you just have to educate the audience and let people know, like, this is my finish, right? Because who in the world would have ever thought a belly to belly was going to be a finish, and then Bailey made it, a phenomenal finish for her, right?
Yep.
It made sense for her character, and you would be happy to know that one of my kids has a double underhook DDT as a finish.
Nice.
Now, and also to your defense, I remember when Enzo Amore started doing like a jumping DDT out of the middle. He would stand on the middle rope, I think, and then he'd jump as high as he can, and then catch him on the way down and get him with a DDT. And I don't think he ever finished a match with it. And I was like, I think that's a little bit far for me. Like in the same realm of like a DDT can be a finish. This guy's jumping way high, grabbing them, then coming down on top of their head with a DDT. I'm like, not my cup of tea, but to each their own.
Gotcha. So, after 20 years of this stuff, I'm sure this definitely applies. So I'll ask, what hurts right now? Or maybe I should ask, what doesn't hurt?
Nothing, man. I've
Really?
done so well I've done so well taking care of myself. Just knowing, and this is also coming from, I'm a full-time pro wrestler. I'm a full-time coach. I'm at my school 40 hours a week. When I train, I get in the ring with the kids. I don't coach from the sidelines. So the only practices that I don't train generally are the morning classes. We have morning classes on Monday and Tuesday. I generally don't get in the ring then because I know I'm gonna train later that evening. So I'll go and do my lift, right? I do strength and conditioning. And then I'll train from 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock on Monday, 6 to 9 on Tuesday, 6 to 9 on Wednesday. So that's 9 out. That's 9 hours of training that week. And then on Thursdays, I'm at the school again, and we have another night practice from 6 to 9. Now, generally, we don't get in the ring on Thursdays because we have our specialty classes. But again, in the event that we get in the ring again, so now that's 12 hours of training a week. Like I'm bumping. Like I'm not shying away. You know what I mean? Like we don't go crazy by any means, but like I've made sure that my body doesn't lose the callus of after 20 years of wrestling. Like I'm still active. I'm still training my butt off. And that's even knowing like in January when we had our last show, all I did was I did a run in and I got beat up. I went to go help out the other babyface and I got beat up. That was my only spot on the show to enhance the story. So it's not like I'm training hardcore for this Iron Man match or something like that. I'm just training to make sure that I'm always ready and I stay young. But no, nothing hurts, man. Like I'm good. Obviously, there's bumps and bruises here and there when you take a bad bump. You know what I mean? But we have a cold plunge. I take care of myself. I stretch. I foam roll. I do whatever I need to. But no, man, I'm in great. I feel phenomenal.
Man, you are blessed.
I am very blessed. You are correct. I am very blessed.
So, that's really kind of a good segue to the next question, which is, over the time you've been doing this, what is the worst bump you have taken?
So I'll say probably the worst bump I ever took was when I got a concussion. I was wrestling this tag team in WXW in Allentown, Pennsylvania. I don't remember what the tag team was, but I had gotten heat with the team because they wanted to keep calling a part of the match, and I thought we were done calling it. So I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna go sell merch," because they wanted to call the heat, and I'm like, "Why do we need to call the heat?" But regardless, it was just coincidental that when they bumped me, they obviously bumped me very hard because they were pretty pissed off with me. but it just so happened that the padding in the middle of the ring just started separating like this. So when I bumped, my head hit straight to the wood, and I don't remember the bump hurting because it's been so long, but I remember hitting it, having some type of reaction, and then thought I was tripping on acid. Like everything was in slow motion. It seemed like I had earmuffs over my ears. I definitely know I had a concussion. That's self-diagnosed by all means, but I started having the most deja vu of all time. It was pretty crazy. And then afterwards, they tried fighting me in the locker room. That didn't happen. And then after the show, fans were coming up to me because I didn't come out until way after the show. And when they were coming up to me, one person was like, "Hey, I took a bunch of pictures. Do you want to see them?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." And they start showing me pictures. And at one point I was on the guy's shoulders. I'm like, "Oh, I don't remember that." And then another point I was on the top rope. I'm like, "Oh, I don't remember that." I'm like, "I don't remember a lot of this." And I was like, "Oh, yep, definitely a concussion then." So yeah, that was probably my worst experience from a physical standpoint, minus tearing my ACL, but that wasn't like by, my knee just went. It wasn't something that, I blame anyone for.
Gotcha. So knowing everything you know at this point in your life, if you could give any advice to your younger self, what would it be?
Don't doubt yourself, which I don't think I ever did, because if I did doubt myself, I don't think I would be where I am. But just to give me that reassurance, I think I just always needed that. And I think the only other thing that I tell my kids all the time that I wish I would have changed or had different. I just wish I had a mentor that I'm trying to be for them, because the story that I tell them all the time is, long story short, I had a tryout with Ring of Honor. It was one of those 2-day tryouts that you can sign up for. So I had a tryout, and long story short, again, at the end of it, they basically just said, your gimmick's kind of generic. We need a little bit more life out of you. You're a good wrestler. Like, you can cut a promo, but we just need more out of you. And that was 9 years into my career. And that was the first time that anyone had told me that, like, I'm kind of generic, and they weren't wrong by any means. And then at the same time, another promoter who I'm, good friends with, even to this day, when I had asked, he was about to start a promotion. I had sent him my stuff. He knew who I was. But he had said, like, "Yeah, man, I'll definitely use you, but I'm not going to lie to you. Your character to me is only a mid-card character. I don't see your character being a main event type of person." And that's after I've held multiple heavyweight championships. So again, this was news to me. And I'm like, man, like, why didn't anyone tell me this? Like, why didn't anyone give me that honest truth? And this is, again, 9 years into my career, and I had to completely repackage myself. And that's, again, something that I wish I would have changed. I don't know how I would have been able to change that, because if there was something or someone that I could have latched onto, in my area, in the Northeast, blah, 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 but I didn't really have that. I didn't really, I don't think I really looked at anyone that would be able to, do that for me. But yeah, that's the biggest thing that I wish I would have had. So then I tell these kids all the time, like, when they come to me and they're getting ready to start doing student shows and they bring to me what they want to do as a character, I'm already challenging them and telling them what's good, what's bad, what we need to fix or whatever. And sometimes they come out of those meetings defeated. And I'm like, this is for your good. Yep. Because please don't be like me and go 9 years into your career and then find out that it was almost a waste of what you were putting your effort into, and you didn't get that honesty. So yeah, that's probably what my answer would be.
Gotcha. That sort of reminds me of the whole situation that Drew McIntyre, or Drew Galloway, whatever you want to call him, faced back in the day. He got cut from WWE, but he went to the Indies, reinvented himself physically, and basically found himself and made himself undeniable. So, in a situation like that, getting cut was probably the best thing that ever happened to him. You know,
Yep. No, I agree.
it really depends on how you take that type of a situation. If you can use it to light a fire under yourself, it can be a miraculous type of thing. So.
I agree.
So, do you have any pre-show traditions? Any things that you try to do consistently before you walk through the curtain?
Yeah, and again, this is gonna show my age, I guess. I don't know. I always make sure that I am very hygienically clean for my opponent, to the point where after I get into all my gear, after my hair's done, my makeup's done, whatever else, I'll go and brush my teeth. I'll also do, like, even after I brush my teeth, when it's getting close to the time of our match, I'll shoot some more mouthwash, because again, we're getting real close proximity here, and I talk a lot, so I don't want to have bad breath. So I do that. I'll also take cologne, and I'll spray my elbow pad, like they're washed, but I'll spray my elbow pads, my knee pads, and do a little bit of a cologne shower all on top of it, because I want to go out there and people will be like, "Oh my God, he smells nice," and so I don't stink for this other person that I got to roll around and get sweaty with. So, yeah, that's pretty much my only traditions. I just make sure that I'm not a disgusting human being, which I wish more people would do.
Gotcha. So, just kind of a quick rundown. What all do you carry in your gear bag, and do you carry anything unique or unusual in your gear?
Um, no, I've very much lightened my load, because I just don't feel like carrying around a lot of stuff anymore. When I started my career, every time I ran into something else where I'm like, oh man, I wish I had that, I added it to the bag, and then my bag got bigger and bigger and bigger, because I would run into these little situations. So much so, at one point, I started carrying around a bottle of Tylenol, and I think I had that bottle of Tylenol for like 15 years, and I never ran out. Because I was
Mm-hmm.
always like, man, I have a headache, I wish I had Tylenol, and then I would have to stop at a store or something like that. So then I started carrying that around. But I got rid of a ton of it, because again, like, now these situations don't come up, and I'm like, if it's a one-off, I'm like, yeah, it's not a big deal, I'll just run to the store. So nothing crazy, but I think the only thing that's different in terms of like what I bring. So Miss Renee, the owner of the HOC, she had started doing, she started stitching gear at some point, but
Mm-hmm.
it kind of got overwhelming for her, so she doesn't really do it anymore, except for a select few, and I'm one of the lucky ones. Um, and when she made my Hawk gear, because I wanted to, because me and Nick were going to do a tag team as, the HOC boys, essentially.
Yeah.
When I got my Hawk gear, she had put a little patch on the inside for my 5-year-old, because my 3-year-old was not here yet. So then when I got new gear, then both of them were in the gear. So there's a little patch on the inside of my gear for them. So that's the only thing that's really
That's
different.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's really cool. So, do you have a favorite venue that you just really enjoy wrestling in, or are they all kind of the same to you?
No, definitely not the same. Absolutely not the same. Favorite number one, MCW, Hollywood, Maryland, by far. It was always a packed crowd. They're always hot. The shows are always fun. That will always be my number one. That's my favorite spot to go to. I always love that on the schedule. And unfortunately, I haven't been with MCW for a couple of years now. So, very much miss them. Love them to death. Now it's the Hawk, because we put so much time and effort into our storylines, that the fans are so invested into it. I think, and I think a lot of people, anybody, like any promoter or booker, they'll hear this and they go, well, we put a lot of time and effort into our storylines. And I'm like, you might think that you do, but we just do it to a whole different level, because there's a lot of promo segments on the show, or there's a lot of comedy things on the show, or just things that just wouldn't make sense in any other universe other than pro wrestling. And a lot of times, like, those are our best storylines. And of course, we have the true traditional storylines as well. Like, we just have a wide variety of different segments on our shows. So that's why the Hawk has become, now my number one, of course. But I'm biased. But there are a lot of places that, from a standpoint of like working regularly, like, yeah, I love working for, WDWA in West Virginia. I loved working for 1CW in Delaware. There's a lot of companies that I've loved working for over the years. But if you're talking favorite venue, oh yeah, Hollywood, Maryland, by far.
Gotcha. So something that we've done in all of these that's just been kind of fun is we've let the current guest pose a question for the next guest. And one of my recent previous guests was a wrestler based out in Oregon by the name of Naomi King. And the question that she posed is, have you done any wrestling internationally? And if not, would you rather wrestle in Mexico or Japan?
Well, if they only saw the beginning of this podcast, they would probably know that. I have wrestled overseas. I was very blessed and fortunate before Mr. Brian Dixon had passed away in the UK, who ran All Star Wrestling. I've gotten to do the Butlins tours as William Regal and a plethora of many other wrestlers, Frankie Sloan, Robbie Brookside, Daniel Bryan has talked about. The list goes on. It's just a who's who of professional wrestling.
Love Robbie Brookside.
Oh, I was also very blessed, and I got to tour with Robbie Brookside, and I was put in wrestler's court because I accidentally stole Robbie Brookside's chant on a show.
Oh.
I was told to do the chant. I didn't know it was his. And then when Robbie confronted me backstage about it, I said, "Oh, I apologize. Sam had asked me to do it." Sam is Sam Adonis, who is Corey Graves' brother, very well known in the Lucha Libre community. Huge star in Mexico. Love that he is so successful down there. But yeah, like, him and I had a match, and he told me to chant "We Want More," so I started doing it, and that was Robbie's, and I didn't know that. So then when I told him it was Sam, Sam told me to do it because UK was following the old school rule of the heel calls the match, heel tells you what to do, and okay. So then Sam got in trouble for telling me to do it, and then I got in trouble for dogging him out. So then we went to wrestler's court. I was found guilty. Sam was found guilty, and then we had to run the British Mile. Pulled over at one point. And they go, "Okay, we're going to drive the car a mile down the road. You have 10 minutes to get to the car. If not, you got to do it tomorrow." And thankfully I was like, "Oh God, only 10 minutes." Cause I used to run, a 4 or 5 minute mile, in high school. So I'm like, "Oh yeah, like I can get there in 10 minutes. No problem." And I'll jog. So it kind of scared me at first, but nothing is weirder than seeing this car in complete darkness just continue to go further and further down this road. But I did it. It was phenomenal experience. I tell the kids all the time how much the Butlins tour changed me and my career. But I wish I could go back and do it again. And now I know that my good friend Spitty, Mr. Tony Spitfire, is now in charge of All Star Wrestling. So I would love to get back over there and see them all again.
Gotcha. So, since this is part of a series, do you have a question that you would like to ask to the next guest?
Yes. Let's go with what's the weirdest thing? No, I don't like that one.
Okay.
Okay, we'll say, what's your most embarrassing moment in the ring? What's the most embarrassing thing that's ever happened to you in the ring?
Oh, that's a good. That's actually a really good question. How would you answer that?
So nothing's ever really embarrassed me, but the weirdest thing that happened to me in a ring, and it's gonna sound weird, like that doesn't sound weird to me, but it was weird to me. I sneezed in the middle of the match, and I thought that was the weirdest thing possible because that's never like. I remember like I took a bump, and maybe like I took the bump, and when I rolled over, it just so happened that a bunch of dust went up my nose. But I'm trying to sell this move that I'm supposed to be in pain, and then I felt this sneeze coming, and I went, "Oh God!" So I roll over and I do this. And I just go, and I just sneeze, and I just like two, and then I'm like, oh God, that was weird. I'm like wiping my nose and everything as I'm like trying to sell my back, and I hear someone in the front row just go, "Did he just sneeze?" Like it was. So I wasn't embarrassed because it's not an embarrassing thing, but it was
right.
Yeah, it was very weird. Very
just
weird.
Kind of an oddball moment. Yeah.
Yeah, and I've done a lot of things that you would think would be the embarrassing thing. I've made a fool of myself over my career. I've had my bare ass out in matches, and that's not embarrassing to me whatsoever. But that sneeze, I don't know why, but that sneeze got me. Weird.
Well, it's one of those just weird random moments, that you just don't expect to happen. And
yeah, I was kind of mad about it.
So we're getting toward the end of things now. So do you have any upcoming shows or anything at all that you'd like to give some hype to?
So the two things that I would love to give hype to is for anybody that's in the Florida area. And if you're not in the Florida area, you can obviously watch us on YouTube. We premiere our shows always a week after when we do our shows live. But House of Champions shows, man, we're doing something different down here, and the fans are resonating with it. And there's a reason why every one of our shows we have sold out. There has not been one show that we haven't sold out. Even our big show of the year, at the end of December of 2025. We sold out, I believe, a month and a half before the event even happened. So it's definitely something to check out. So please come check out our shows. Our entire list of all of our dates are on our website, thehawkpro.com, thehocpro.com. As far as indie bookings for the rest of the year, I didn't take any. And the reason is because I get so much fulfillment out of the House of Champions, and on top of it, it goes into my next thing that I am plugging. It's because I got hired by the phenomenal company that is taking over the world, and that is Banana Ball. If you do not know what Banana Ball is, I highly encourage you to go do a little Google search, hop on TikTok, and type in Banana Ball and see what Banana Ball is all about, because it is a global phenomenon now. And I was very fortunate. I got hired at the end of 2025. They had debuted 2 new teams, and my team is the Loco Beach Coconuts. I am a hooligan, a hype crew member for Banana Ball. So I'm going to be doing a lot of traveling this year with them during the baseball season. I actually leave in a couple days for the Banana Land cruise. So I'm going to be gone all next week for the cruise. There's another date that I have following week after that, and then the following week after that, I'm in Tallahassee, and it's opening day. So then after that, it's Banana Ball and wrestling the rest of the year. So I didn't really take any indie bookings because my schedule is going to be pretty crazy with Banana Ball. I didn't want to fill up, if I have a weekend off. Like, oh, I'm going to go do a show now. Like, no, I want to be at home with my girls to make sure that, again, I get my family time, because there's one part where I think I'm gone for like 6 or 7 weeks in a row. So yeah, there's not much else wrestling to advertise other than HOC, and definitely check out a Banana Ball game. We are going to be everywhere across this country. So if you're thinking that like, oh, I'm all the way in California, I probably won't be able to see them. No. They travel all over the country. I'm going to be in San Diego in March. I'm going to be in Biloxi, Mississippi, Delaware, Jersey Shore. I'm going to be in New Hampshire, Minnesota, Foxborough, Massachusetts, again, Tallahassee, Jacksonville, Orlando. We are South Carolina is another one. Like, we are everywhere. So check out Banana Ball. Check out the Loco Beach Coconuts. Check out the Hooligans, because I got a fabulous crew of hooligans with me, and we're going to be social media sensations by the end of the season, because we've been doing some crazy stuff already. So check that out. Check the Hawk out. And between those two things, I'm packed. And I booked a Disney cruise at the end of the year. So Disney Cruise 2026, I got to get ready for that too.
Wow, that's awesome. I've actually had a couple of wrestlers on the show that have done some banana ball type stuff. I've had the Cheese, who is
My
involved
man.
with and
The man nanas.
and I haven't had him on the show yet, but I'm working on getting Cody Fluffman, and he's also
My dog. My man. I love Cody so much. And I've barely known him. I only got to interact with him a little bit during the schedule announcement weekend. But man, such a good brother. Such a good dude. Like you could just tell his energy. There's also more members, more people from the HOC that just got hired by Banana Ball yesterday. So more people are going to be coming out. More wrestlers are coming on board to Banana Ball. So there's just going to be a whole crew of us, and I could not be happier about this. It's like meshing two of my favorite things, just being a stupid entertainer, a pro wrestler, and just having fun. My God, I can't, like, this is going to be the greatest year. Can't wait.
That is awesome. Well, as far as what we've got coming up on the Throwdown, this coming Tuesday, February 10th at 7 p.m. Eastern, I've got episode 198, and our guest is another Florida-based wrestler, long hair, don't care, Jake Powers. And then next Friday, the 13th, 7 p.m. Eastern, episode 199. And our guest is a wrestler based in British Columbia, always ready, Leon Locumbo. He is actually fresh off of a week-long WWE tryout, so I'm interested to talk to him and find out what that experience was like. And for those of you that have been watching this live, thank you. For those of you that'll be seeing this on replays and such, thank you for that. If you like what we've got going here, definitely, like I said, do the old like, comment, share, and subscribe. And before we wrap this up, do you have any final words for the audience?
Yes, every time I've ever done a podcast, I've always ended the same way, because we never know. Tomorrow is never promised. We never know when our last moment is on this lovely earth is. So for anybody that's ever bought a ticket to come see me, followed me on social media, watched a match, anything, any type of support, have enjoyed my career or anything, like literally anything. If you have had any type of connection with me of my career, just thank you so much for the support. Thank you for just doing that again, even if it was just a like on one of my videos. I am very fortunate that I have been doing this for a very long time, and I'm very fortunate that I'm still doing it for a very long time, and I'm nowhere near done with what I'm doing. So the support from all of you guys gives me that longevity. So thank you all. I appreciate y'all.
Absolutely. And until Tuesday with Jake Powers, be good to each other, love each other,